Hey, Cub fans! Thanks for joining us here on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs. And we're going to talk about the current depth chart. I got up this morning, and my wife was telling me about a dream she had. She was telling me that she dreamed about snakes or whatever. And when she said that, my response was, well, I was dreaming about the depth chart. And I really was. For whatever reason, I dreamt about the depth chart, and I had some concerns. So I thought maybe it's time to address it. It is, as the making of this video occurs, it is January 26th. So the state of our depth chart as of now, obviously it's going to change. But I just think it's a really interesting depth chart as we sort of think about moving into February. So let's just take a deep breath, kick back, and let's talk about where the depth chart stands as of right now. So let's start with the starting pitchers. We've got 5 guys in the rotation, and I don't really think there's any surprises in this 5-man rotation according to the current depth chart. I think if I was going to predict it prior to, this would probably be it. So here's the listing. It's got Kyle Hendricks, number 1, Justin Steele, 2, Jamison Tyone, 3, Shota Imanaga, 4, and then in the 5th spot, it's got Javier Assad. And I think I'm pretty comfortable with that 5 to start. So we'll take that, put it off to the side. That's pretty decent. Now let's go to the bullpen. We've got the 5 starters, and we've got 7 guys in the bullpen currently, and they're listed in this order. Closer is Adbert Alzolay. Then you've got Julian Merriweather, Mark Leiter Jr., Drew Smiley, Yency Almonte, Daniel Palencia, and Luke Little. So we got 2 lefties in Smiley and Luke Little. There's 7 guys, so that gives us a pitching roster of 12. Probably one short from the 26-man. But I look at it and I go, okay, Adbert, yeah, I guess that's what we've got. That could change. A signing could change our closer spot. But Adbert in that closing spot as of now makes sense. And then you go down the list with Julian and Mark Leiter and Drew Smiley. Those are sort of the veteran leftovers. They make sense. Then you've got Yency Almonte, who came over from the Dodgers along with Michael Busch. And so he makes sense. We picked up his almost $2 million contract for 2024. And then you've got Daniel Palencia and Luke Little. I like both of them. And if you're unfamiliar with Daniel and Luke, I just put videos up on both of them. So, I like them. They have really good stuff. So I'm not all that concerned that, those 2 guys shouldn't be there. I think where my concern or more interest is what I'll refer to as the notables who currently are left out. So I got 6 pitchers that I think are, pretty worthy of at least discussion about being either A, in that rotation spot, or B, in the pen. But how are we going to get them time? Here's the list. We got Jose Cuas, that nasty sidearm pitcher we got from Kansas City. We got Hayden Wesneski, who, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but our new manager, Craig Counsell, is really high on Hayden Wesneski. We've got Jordan Wicks, who pitched really well last year. He's not in the depth chart anywhere. Then we've got our 2 prospects, our 2 horses. We got Cade Horton and Ben Brown. Both those guys were talked about during the Cubs convention about getting some starts. And then the other one that I have is Michael Arias, a young up-and-comer that I think is possibly going to get some look. So we've got 6 pitchers who are not on the depth chart, so theoretically not on the active roster, that I think have potential. So that gives us 18 pitchers. I've got 18 pitchers on this list. 5 starters, 7 in the pen, and then we got 6 notables who are left off. We're relatively deep there. If anybody struggles, there's going to be next man up. This is very interesting. And if we happen to sign another closer, another setup guy, that's just going to make us longer and deeper. So I feel really good with the current pitching depth chart. Now, I don't know about everybody's health right now. I don't know about any injuries or anything that might pop up. But as of right now, January 26th, our pitching depth chart looks really good and it looks really deep. So I feel good. I can't really say the same with our everyday lineup. And there's about 2 reasons why. So let's go through it. Depth chart reads catching. We got Yan Gomes and Miguel. And I anticipate it, barring any injuries, I anticipate them splitting duties roughly half and half. Yan did the lion's share of the catching duties last year. I think this year, if things go well, Miguel is going to step up his game, and he's going to do and get more starts. In the infield, of course, we've got at second base and shortstop, we got Nico and Dansby. But listed as our starters at first base and third base is Patrick Wisdom at first and Nick Madrigal at third. So at first base, we've got Patrick Wisdom listed as the starter, and there is nobody listed as a backup at first base. Patrick Wisdom is in that slot by himself. At second base, Nico Horner. And then we're 3 deep. We go Christopher Morel as the backup. We got Madrigal behind him. And we've got Miles Mastrobuoni in the fourth spot, 4th deep at second. At third base, behind Madrigal, we've got Patrick Wisdom, Christopher Morel, and then Miles Mastrobuoni again in the 4th spot. At shortstop, behind Dansby, we've got Nico, Christopher Morel, and Miles Mastrobuoni. So currently we have Patrick Wisdom alone at first, Madrigal starting at third, Miles Mastrobuoni 4 deep in those 3 positions as backups, and we got Christopher Morel in backup roles at all 3 of those spots. It's very interesting. So in that mindset, I'm like, well, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not comfortable with Patrick Wisdom being our everyday first baseman. I just, for obvious reasons, right? The offensive production, the slug is there, but the on-base percentage, the strikeouts, it's too much for me. And I just don't think he's just not, he's too clunky at first base for me. I just look and go, if we got Patrick Wisdom as our first baseman moving forward on opening day, and we're going to run him for a month, I don't like that. I don't like the position that puts us in. The same can be said with Madrigal at third. You know, I like Nick. Nick is what he is. He's a second baseman, is what he is. He's a second baseman because he can play second base. He's a little out of his league at third. He has to compensate. He has to do that 3 and 4 and 5 step run up. He's not a classic third baseman. He has to adjust and he has to survive it. But the other thing about Nick, offensively, he just doesn't slug enough for me. You know, I guess I'm a traditionalist, and I think of my corners, both in the outfield and in the infield. You know, you got to bring some slug to play every day in the corners. So if Nick was playing second base for somebody, playing solid second base, you know, getting on base, putting the ball in play, I could see that. But on a championship team, having a guy who's maybe going to hit a home run or 2 playing third base, I just don't think it's long term. So when you look at both Patrick and Nick on the corners, that's not a championship quality team. That, you know, it's Dansby and Nico in the middle obviously are. But I think there's going to be changes on the corners between now and opening day. So we'll see what happens. But those are 2 of my worries there. Now, when we go to the outfield, I'll start in center field. We've got Pete Crow Armstrong in center field, and I like it. Pete Crow Armstrong may be the best center fielder that we've ever had defensively. His question is offensive. We're not sure, right? He struggled when he did his debut. So I like Pete Crow Armstrong up the middle. The idea of having Dansby and Nico and Pete Crow Armstrong defensively up the middle, I like that. The question is, what's Pete going to do offensively, at least initially? What if Pete struggles? So if we're going to go Pete Crow Armstrong, can we afford to have Patrick Wisdom and Nick Madrigal in the lineup? I just don't think we can. I don't think we can go in thinking, okay, let's plan for the possibility that it takes Pete Crow Armstrong a little while to get going offensively. I think that's fair. He's going to be defensive Pete Crow Armstrong from day one. I'm convinced of that. So defensively, he's going to carry more than his weight. But offensively, it may take him a while, and if it does, can we afford to have a struggling Pete Crow with a classic Patrick Wisdom and no slug Nick? I don't think that's going to work out. In left field, we've got obviously Ian Happ, and in right field, we've got Seiya. I'm more than happy there. So happy in left, I'm happy in right, I'm happy at short, I'm happy at second, I'm happy with the pitching staff, I'm happy behind the plate. I'm not happy at first. I'm not happy at third. And because of the situation with Pete, we're going to play him. And I just don't think we can diminish ourselves elsewhere with that in mind. Now, Talkman. Mike is the backup. He's the second string left fielder, second string center fielder, second string right fielder as we speak. Then Christopher Morel is backing up in all those positions, backing up Talk. So if you go, well, who's the five outfielders? Five outfielders are Happ, Seiya, PCA, Talkman, and Morel. They got Wizzy listed as the backup to Morel, so he's three deep in left, and he's backing up Morel in right, so he's the third one in right. What's interesting is some of the leftovers, the notables. One of them is Alexander Canario. They've got Alexander listed as the fourth left fielder. So at this point, with this particular depth chart, Alexander Canario is a notable that's sort of left out. If you're thinking, and it hasn't come to your head yet, well, who else is left out? Well, Michael Busch is left out. He's not listed on the depth chart. Matt Mervis is left out. Luis Vasquez is left out. Kevin Alcantara is left out. Brennan Davis is left out. Owen Casey is left out. And my point would be, all right, let's take Miles. We got Miles backing up the three infield positions, but he's four deep. Is Miles Mastroboni going to make the opening day roster? Are we going to start opening day with Patrick Wisdom at first? Are we going to start with Madrigal at third? These are questions. Are we going to start? Where's Michael Busch going? Right? My guess is, unless anything changes in terms of signings, it looks like possibly Michael Busch is going to go ahead and come in and start at first. Maybe they bring Mervis in to help. Maybe they take Patrick and put him at third. I don't know. But to me, there's this is why I was losing sleep last night. This is why I was laying in bed last night going, okay, what are we going to do, right? So we've got Michael Busch. We've got still a potential Cody Bellinger signing, and I haven't been talking a lot about the Cody Bellinger signing, but he's still available. It's still a distinct possibility. The problem is, I think PCA. I think Pete Crow Armstrong's going to start in center field. And if Pete Crow Armstrong is going to start in center field and play in center field, which looks like what they're thinking about doing, well, I think that's what's causing the Bellinger signing to just sort of be laying low. I don't think they're thinking they'll use Cody Bellinger in center field. So there's some moving parts here that I think once a domino falls, they'll all fall. But we've got some questions to answer. Not too many in the pitching staff. I think we're pretty much there, except for how are we going to get Quas, Wesneski, Jordan Wicks, Cade Horton, Ben Brown some time on the mound. Where's that going? So those are good questions to have as far as the staff goes. But we've got some questions in the everyday lineup that I think need to be answered. And I'll tell you, I think between now and opening day, there's going to be some changes, some movements. I just don't see the current situation as being tenable long term. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just a fan. but I lost sleep over it last night, so we'll see. So, guys, that's the update on the current depth chart. That's what makes this time of year so much fun, trying to piece it together, trying to figure out what it's going to look like. We've got spring training just around the corner, so that's the update, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for checking us out here on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already and you feel like you can, hit that subscribe button for me. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you very soon. Go Cubs, go.